Flooding the zone, Donald Trump rushes to restore gun rights to convicted criminals as congressional Republicans work to pass legislation neutering gun control laws in Democratic states. So much for pro-life and small government. Welcome to the No Spin Zone. Graph's Grievances starts right now. So much norm-breaking and dubious action is coming out of Washington every day that it's hard to keep up, let alone determine what's genuinely important versus what's just bluster and distraction. While much of the media focus has rightly been on President Trump's unconstitutional attempt to cripple the federal government and deport people of color without due process, a critical issue has been largely lost in the shuffle. Trump and the Republican Party's aggressive efforts to flood America with more guns and restore gun rights to convicted criminals. Just 2 weeks after his second term began, Trump signed an executive order directing the Justice Department to review all federal gun policies to determine whether they infringed on the Second Amendment. That amendment reads, quote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." Yes, it's a wordy sentence, and the interpretation of what rights the Second Amendment guarantees has been debated since it was ratified in 1791. But what you need to know now is that the Trump administration is pushing for the broadest possible interpretation, claiming that virtually any restrictions on gun ownership are unconstitutional. As part of this effort, Trump's Attorney General, Pam Bondi, has quietly moved to restore gun rights to convicted criminals, while rolling back policies aimed at cracking down on rogue gun dealers who falsify business records or skip background checks. Convicted criminals, including those found guilty of misdemeanor state domestic violence offenses, are barred from purchasing or owning firearms under federal law. The reasoning behind this is simple. These individuals have at minimum demonstrated extremely poor judgment, and society doesn't want to risk arming them. So how is the Attorney General working to restore these individuals' gun rights? The Justice Department technically has the authority to restore these rights on a case-by-case basis. But in practice, this has never been a widespread policy until now. Every day, 125 people in the U.S. are killed with guns, and over 200 are injured. That amounts to more than 45,000 gun deaths annually. Firearms are the leading cause of death among children and teens in the U.S., surpassing even motor vehicle accidents. Moreover, the U.S. gun homicide rate is 26 times higher than that of any other high-income country. This data paints a grim picture of America's gun violence problem. Yet, Trump's Justice Department is moving forward with policies that will only make this situation worse. While President Biden's administration established a zero-tolerance policy for gun dealers who violate the law, allowing the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearm, and Explosives to strip federal licenses from gun dealers who falsified records or sold guns without background checks, the current administration has eliminated that policy. This week, Attorney General Bondi is also planning to scrap 2 other major gun control measures introduced by Biden. One involves a ban on devices that convert handguns into more powerful rifles, and the other requires background checks for private gun sales. Trump, who survived 2 serious assassination attempts, now wants more Americans to have the ability to turn their handguns into deadlier rifles. and believes it's unnecessary for private sellers at gun shows or online to run background checks on potential buyers. To put this all in perspective, there are over 132,000 licensed firearm sellers and manufacturers in the U.S. Since Biden's 2021 zero tolerance policy went into effect, over 1,000 of these sellers have failed inspection and were eligible to lose their license. Biden's effort to keep arms away from criminals and impose accountability on rogue dealers has paid off, contributing to a 50-year low in violent crime. But now Trump is working to undo those very same gains. Numerous studies have found a direct correlation between gun prevalence and homicide rates. In fact, studies also show that having a gun in the home increases the risk of homicide or suicide, regardless of storage method, gun type, or the number of firearms in the house. Simply put, access to guns increases the likelihood that they will be used against others or oneself. This is already a massive issue in the U.S., where it's estimated that civilians own over 500 million guns, making America the most armed country in the world, with 120 guns per 100 people. Yet, that's not enough for Trump and Republicans. In the past month, House Republicans advanced 2 bills aimed at weakening gun control laws, especially in Democratic states. One bill, the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, would require all states to recognize concealed carry permits from other states. This means that someone with a concealed carry permit in a state with more lenient gun laws could carry in places like Los Angeles or Chicago, where local gun laws are much more strict. Another bill would allow Americans to sue if they were denied the ability to purchase a firearm due to a background check. But these legislative moves are just the beginning. The future of gun laws may soon hinge on the decisions of the Supreme Court, which is considering to hear a case challenging laws that restrict 18 to 20-year-olds from buying or carrying firearms. As Congress works to roll back protections, the Supreme Court may be the final arbiter in deciding whether even stricter measures on firearms, particularly for young people, will be allowed. With the Trump administration pushing to further loosen gun restrictions, the stakes have never been higher. There's already a vast body of evidence showing the danger of gun proliferation, and these efforts could have devastating consequences for public safety in America. The question remains, will the political will to address America's gun violence epidemic ever outweigh the powerful lobby that continues to flood the zone with more weapons and fewer safeguards? Only time will tell, but the path we're on is increasingly dangerous. Thank you for watching Graf's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and join me tomorrow for more.